So I'll do a little bit of saying hello to everyone. I am Esmée Streachailt. I am one of the collective of the Radical Notion, and I'm going to be hosting the reading this afternoon. So you won't hear from me too much, but a little bit. Yeah, we are here to both celebrate and promote The Body Cannot Be Cancelled, this gorgeous little anthology of poems about our experience as embodied beings, our many experiences as embodied beings, from the range of their joy to their even fear and anger. So it's going to be a complex day, but I hope one that we find nourishing here. If you want to get the book, since we're promoting it, there's going to be a link in the chat. And of course, you can do it anytime at our website, but it's at radicalnotion.org/books. And until Monday or something like that, you can use the discount code poetry20 to get 20% off of the book itself. And it will be publishing in December sometime is when it will arrive in people's houses. So I'm hoping it'll make a wonderful poetry gift for the women in your life who could use a little feminist poetic nourishment. I don't know if everyone here knows the Radical Notion, or if everyone who will eventually watch this video knows who the Radical Notion is, but we're a all women collective who've been working on making this gorgeous magazine, rather lushly designed magazine for the last 3 years, focusing on a radical materialist analysis of our current moment. We look at sex-based oppression and do a lot of challenging the material and symbolic structures of male dominance. Our editors and writers also seek to deepen and widen the analysis of all aspects of women's political condition and its foundational role in all extractive systems and mechanics of domination. We take work from everyone, everywhere. Women all over the world and of every class and background are invited to share their words and images with us. So if you are inspired to submit to the magazine in this political era of intense anti-feminist backlash, our submittable portal is open all year long. So there's always an opportunity to join us and to add your voice to this bigger conversation. I'll give you a little bit of the order of events tonight. We have 10 poets reading. Each of them has a window of about 10 minutes to read. They might not choose to fill it. So this reading is going to run anywhere from 110 minutes or 90 minutes to a little bit less than that. Of course, as the audience, you are free to come and go as you like. Some of the poets have been traveling, but they've managed to catch up with us just as we're getting settled in here. I just had the biggest deja vu, y'all. This was meant to happen. Okay, here we go. Our first reader this evening is Heli St Luce. She is a Black, British, longtime old school radical feminist. She is a ritual celebrant, a woman-centered activist, writer, singer, and performer. And so I give the mic to Heli.
Unmute myself would be helpful. So I'm in the middle of a square, so I'm hoping that there's not going to be too much traffic or rolling suitcases. And I'm going to start off with just one verse, because I am in the middle of a square, of a song by Sweet Honey in the Rock. Where do I go when there's no one to turn to? Here all alone and wild. Where do I go when I need familiar? Woman, hold my hand. Woman, hold my hand. I would normally sing more, but I can't. So My first poem is called Important Guidelines for Ladies. Conform to the expected norm. Got to be pretty to be acceptable, thin to be truly pretty, not blonde, not beautiful. And above all, don't get fat. Be tractable, be amenable. Feminine means high heels, makeup, or at least mascara. Prioritize your appearance above your personality. Men are visual and superficial, so don't be too deep. Always aim your attractions at men. Don't be smart, unless you're a genius. But if you are a genius, always know a man genius who is better and refer to him frequently. Make an effort. Be sweet, be kind, avoid conflict. Don't be loud, be a fashionista. Don't be proud. Be kind and be blind to men's faults. And above all, avoid getting fat. If you have to eat, cultivate bulimia. It's almost impossible to see, so it's less unpleasant for others than anorexia, and you might possibly live longer. Conform, please, to society's norm. Vilify, denigrate, malign, scorn youth and those younger. Despise, fear, disparage, depreciate old age and those older. Obviously, only other women. And do not get fat. Be witty, if you are pretty. You may, of course, do and be anything when and if you are young and beautiful. See above. Slander, objectify, and emphasize your feminine gender within the acceptable and given norms. Don't mouth back. Strive to attract men. Charm, please, flirt, but only tease if gorgeous. Don't talk. Listen. And be aware to never bore a man. There's no real reason to talk to women. Just conform to the well-stated and observable norm. Remove all hair. Eyebrows and head are, of course, the only exceptions. Get surgery to correct Mother Nature's mistakes. Eye job, nose job, boob job, carve your labia, bleach your anus. No pain, no gain. Search for and eradicate physical flaws, of which you will have many. Learn to clean and tidy. You only need to be able to read a cookbook or a magazine. Tais-toi, sois belle, want het oog wil ook wat. So, tais-toi, sois belle, shut up and be beautiful. Want het oog wil ook wat is a Dutch, very common saying, and it means the eye will also, the eye also has needs. So, and then my poem from the book, which is called An Unexpected Love, and it's dedicated to all women who can't walk past a mirror without having done anything to themselves and go, "Ooh, yeah. I fell in love with my body today. Stopped looking at it for a moment through the world's eyes that compare, judge, criticize, condemn, despise. I felt its strength, muscle, tendon, bone, the warmth of my skin, its shades, its tones, the fact that it takes by yielding, gives in receiving, soft, lush, pliable. I liked for the first time in all my years that my hands can sink into my tummy and almost disappear. Hands that shape, mold, strain to recreate that which has been destroyed and build it up again. These hands encircled and cradled as praise for the way they pull me through the haze. They form order in the chaos and soothe the praise. My hands in my tummy are stroked as they stroke, held as they hold. My body is amazing. If I think of all the things it can do, how it carries this heavy mind in warmth. Its skin shows that my ancestors were and still are by far too many considered as animals, lesser, lower beings. Some people assume I'm stupid and can't access finer feelings. My hair shows that despite these beliefs, many of the higher order were very keen to fuck those of the animals they didn't work to death or slaughter. My body has shapes that don't fit, won't squat, can't sit, overfill, stretch, and strain. But it makes love. And it laughs so loud. And it has hairs where they choose to grow. It's a silly fact, but it's one of which I'm proud. My body is an angel to me, for though it's very visible, it's something that I rarely see. I don't want to look. And when I do, I see to my ire that it doesn't fit the perfect shape to which I should aspire. It's wrong. It reflects my love of the sedentary. It reflects my love of the imaginary. It reflects my love of food. It just don't fit, can't squat, won't sit, overfill, stretches and strains. It is the body of the most ancient goddess figurines. For many thousands of years, this body was a worshipped form. From the honors paid to this body, it is a primeval woman's body, not a boy's. It will only allow itself to be loved by a fearless warrior for the goddess, one who holds their breath to plumb the depths and strives to rise to fresher skies on an unnamed shore. These and many mysteries my body holds in store. Today, I fell in love with my body. The feeling faded after a short time, torn away by thoughts, reverie, contemplation. But it felt so good, those few short moments of internal animation. I'm going to do it again as soon as I may. The feeling comes unbidden. I hope it stays.
Yes, Heli. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for stopping in the middle of everything you're doing to be here. That's so wonderful. That was gorgeous, gorgeous. Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to introduce the next poet to you. I hope Heli makes her train and gets to go glad handing. Alison Binney is going to be next. She is an English teacher and poet from Cambridge. Her debut pamphlet, Other Women's Kitchens, won the Mislexia Poetry Pamphlet Competition and was published by Sarin Books in 2021. So, Alison, if you will take the mic.
Thank you. And thanks, Heli. That was a fantastic performance. I really appreciated those poems. It's a huge honor to be in this anthology, and I can't wait to read everybody else's poems. I'm going to read 4 poems, 2 of which are in the anthology and 2 of which aren't, but all of which are on the theme of the body, which I think is a great theme for this anthology. So the first poem is a first date poem, and it's called How We Knew. I think when you mentioned you'd chosen the wine because you liked the picture on the bottle, while I was setting the oven gloves on fire and trying to pretend I hadn't. And when you admitted you'd flirted from your end of the tennis court the whole summer, and I confessed I was too short-sighted to see. The individual chocolate mousses clinched it. Then you knew, and I knew, and the evening stretched before us, the air fat with so much knowing it hurt to breathe. And I didn't know what to do, and neither did you, until somehow we did. Hands, lips, skin, my single bed rocking with laughter long after dark. Thank you. So lovely to see everybody in their little boxes, and thanks for the the smiles. It's lovely to read to such an appreciative audience. The next poem is called Grain, and when I was writing it, I was thinking about the grain in wood, and I knew that there must be a word for when the circles get smaller and smaller, and then the bit that's right in the middle, but I didn't know what the word was, and I looked it up, and the word is heartwood. And I was writing a love poem, and I was so delighted to learn that that was the word. So that's a word that appears at the end of this poem. Grain. Some nights, after we close our books, you crawl under my arm and tell me how we were carved from the same tree. The top of your head from my chin, my hand from your ribs, the same grain running through both of us, all the way from my ear to your little toe and back up. So, rolling towards sleep, moored to your deepening breath, I count all our rings from heartwood to bark. Thank you. So those poems, as well as appearing in the Radical Notion anthology, are in my debut pamphlet, which is called Other Women's Kitchens. It's available online from Seren Books. So yeah, if you're interested, do have a look for it. But I'm going to read two other poems from the pamphlet now. This one is a haircut poem. I hate getting my hair cut, and I was trying to think why. And I think it's because I've always felt that it's awkward. I don't quite know what I'm asking for. And I think it goes back to being a teenager and really wanting a short haircut. But because I knew I was gay, but I felt that if I asked for the haircut I really wanted, it would reveal more about myself than I was ready to reveal. So it's kind of an awkward haircut poem. I can see a couple of people nodding, so I think maybe it's a common experience. So this poem is called Haircut 17. She asks, "How much are we taking off today?" And I hear, "How much of a lesbian are you?" So I say, "Oh, just half an inch from the top." But she hasn't finished. "Do you like it soft around the ears?" She might as well have asked, "How do you like to have sex?" And I don't even know how I like it around my ears or anywhere else. So I just guess lesbians don't like it soft around their ears and say, yes, I do like it soft, very soft. Then, "Shall I use a razor along the back?" Oh God, will she ever stop? No razor, thank you. Thinking, how can she tell? What has she seen? And she's holding the hand mirror now to one side, then the other, then behind, waiting to see what I think. But I've got away with it this time. When I look, I'm hardly there at all. Thank you. And then I'm going to finish with one last poem. And this is a poem, I don't know whether other people might relate to it, but I've been in a relationship with my partner for over 20 years, but we still, even in the UK, we still feel that we can't always be comfortable holding hands in public. We sometimes do it, but there's a feeling of always having to kind of think about where we are and who might be around. And I really feel sad about that when you know a person really well, but you still feel like you don't quite know what it's like to hold hands together in public. So this poem is called When We Hold Hands. When we hold hands, they don't always know how to go. My right turned in, your left turned out, or the other way round, twisting one way, then the other, like teenagers, so used after so long to how we fit in the dark. It's strange, this not knowing how we fit in the street, where our held hands hold a middle finger up, where we are still dangerous dykes. Thank you very much, everybody, and I'm really looking forward to the other poems. Thank you.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Alice. Thank you, Alison. That's just incredible. There should be more hand-holding of all people. We would be better off. And it would make just such a natural thing of this for everyone, you know? Yeah, safer that way. Oh my goodness. Our next poet is Patricia Stover. She is a horror writer and a poet from Southern Oklahoma. Her works can be found in the Horror Zine, Weirdsmith, and Cafe Macabre. And she's going to read for us next. Patricia, thanks.
Hi, everyone. The first poem I'm going to start out with is Just Like a Wild Thing. And I guess the idea of this one was sort of breaking free in that feeling of freedom that we never really truly have as women, but we long for so much. So I hope you guys enjoy it. One day I'll be free, free from the shackles of patriarchy. I'll burn this damn apron, heels, and corset, cut my hair short so they'll never forget. When the men come to take me away, I'll run free like a wild thing, feral and stray. Their ropes and lies will never catch me. I'll be surrounded with others who want to be barefaced, naked, and wild. Every man will run just like a child. We'll circle the fire, hold hands, and dance in the flames. Witches, they'll scream, laying the blame. And we'll cackle and laugh and show them no shame, because freedom is stronger than all they could say. We'll dance together, women on all continents, joined by sisterhood, love, and all that is new. Burn the witches, one man will yell. We'll grab their pitchforks to chase us all down, shove a dish in our hands, clap tape on our mouths. Lock us in the kitchen. Hope will never break out. If we let them, I'll say, without a doubt. But if we hold strong and believe in each other, grab our sisters, friends, and mothers, and scream as loud as we can, then we'll never be shackled by any man. We'll live free and dance and sing, old and feral, just like a wild thing. Now this next poem, this was inspired by my mom and her many stories of growing up in Enos, Oklahoma, in the Sandy Bottoms, in a very poor household as a young girl of 5, where she often had to help her mother in a dirt floor house where they were very, poor. They still had to work the fields and all kinds of things like that. So I hope you guys enjoy this one too. And it's called Mama's Hands. My mother's hands were never neat. Her jagged nails were clipped short and dirt crusted the torn cuticles. They were weather worn and wrinkled and beautiful. Scarred from hoeing peanuts and picking cotton, filthy with tomboy, they weren't soft or painted like the other moms, merely decorated with thick callus and sunspots, factory work, field work, and housework. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you. I love both of those poems so much. I hope you will send us more. Yeah, thanks very, very much. Next up in our evening is our evening, afternoon, morning. I don't know where people are. You're everywhere. Is Victoria. I just lost my spot. Victoria Taylor Roberts is an award-winning playwright and screenwriter and author whose work focuses on the female experience. I'm going to hand the mic over to Victoria. Thank you.
Thank you, Esmée. Hi, everybody. I'm really, really delighted to be here. I'm really honoured to be a part of this with the other poets. Thank you so much. The first poem I'm going to do is the one from the journal and from the anthology, and it is called Atom by Atom. Just the thought of you unfurling in the hull of my arms, seeping between them, away from me and spilling out to become that of the world. I am not ready yet, nor ever will be, to be severed from you. Knowing its inevitability is torment, and an ache so corporeal I could never have anticipated its depth, anchored to the planet by love's weight, secured, validated, liberated, all that need to care, that reparation bundled into something once so small, built atom by atom to become my universe. It was an ode to my daughter, my one child. And the next piece I'm going to do is a really short little essay piece I only pulled out today, and I was thinking about the theme of this and the ethos of what we're doing here tonight. And it's never been aired, but I wanted to share it with you. It's called I Learned I Was a Little Girl. I learned I was a little girl before I'd even learned I was a person. I was beautiful, then bonny, then sweet, then plump, then plumptious. I was told that one day I'd be a woman, one day I'd make a baby, 2 babies, and, grown-up eyebrows raised, some mummies make more. Cross-legged on the coarse and itchy carpet, our collective ears would prick. Babies? Oh, babies were like kittens, but of course without the fluff. Little pom-poms of love that we would get to make and keep, not donate to the school craft fair like the teacher had made us do with our papier-mâché plant pots. We too would be mummies. The mummies who wiped the tears from our faces with the same cloth that had flicked the grit from our knee. Mummies who growled like chained dogs at the mean boys in the street who pushed us from our bicycles. Mummies who paused from their cooking, their cleaning, their laundry hanging to wrap their strong, bleach-imbued arms about us and carry us in to tea. Steeped in our own superheroism, we offered celebratory hugs to one another in the classroom, the playground, the lunch queue. We, the soon-to-be warriors, the baby makers, the love crafters, the munificent. I learned that I would breed long before I learned that I would bleed. In a different classroom, on a different carpet, bountiful became brutal, eminent became enervated. This time no oars, no hugs, no lucky us. No glory to be found in this epiphany, just wrinkled noses and whispers of the sores impending. Fate sealed, our sullen faces filed out into the cloakroom that now felt like a hospital corridor, greeted with wary sniffs by our usually rowdy companions, our counterparts, a crowd dispersing for the conscripts' parade. And we, the not yet woman, warriors in waiting thwarted, rebirthed as walking wounded. It would take us years to relearn our strength through a landscape of loves and losses. Like the unfertilized eggs inside us, as yet uncoded, how could we know so many would fall, fail, or falter on the way? That's my first ever airing of that. I feel very nervous. Thank you very much. I'm going to leave you with something lighter. And it's really about recognizing that actually life is better than it is worse. It's called Burden. Oh, heavy burden, weight of all worlds combined, how precious you had seemed to me. Now that I have lost you and found instead some peace, some space, some time to contemplate my worldly goods, take stock, measure my assets, and mark the means of my existence, I can look to all that I've loved and find it to be more than I've lost. Now, finally, shall I pull the clasps from my hair, throw off my shoes, find a park, a path, a piece of earth, a traffic island if I must, and dance upon it, whisking the air with my hands. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Victoria. That moment when it descends on you, like we all remember, the essay piece that you've just given us, we all remember that moment when we start to feel that there's going to be a constriction, there's going to be a roll, there's going to be a closing. That's a gorgeous evocation of it. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, definitely. So our next reader is Aja Lyons. She is a multi-genre writer, currently working on an English PhD at Oklahoma State University. She's a proud mother of an athletically gifted and animal-loving child. Aja, I give you the mic.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. So I'm going to read 3 poems. The first one is an anthology. It's published by the Radical Notion, and I'm honestly so honored to be with these amazing women and to have my work in this publication. Thank you all so much. So this one is titled, ain't what she used to be. And you'll quickly get the gist that it's about women's experience, primarily mothers' experiences, which is what I often write about. My knife still cuts, but the blade has dulled. The best intentions were made, but some things are inevitable with age. Slip, drip, brain fluid dismissed, hence the pillbox for medication dispense. Gray matter faded, memories cascaded, youth and beauty traded. Mother, may I? For darn it, did I? I walk with a limp because my uterine fibroid's heavy. Who gets to forget? Not I. The onus is only on me. The barrel of responsibility of a loaded gun, and I without a partner in crime. Flying solo on stage is not a new trick for this old dog. Come see the greatest show on earth. A one-armed woman juggle as a machine shoots a new ball, a new bat, and a few chainsaws. Bring a rain jacket. I've already begun training on using my feet. Please tip if you were entertained. Good time girls love to hear the cheer of our names, but you can't eat applause and they don't keep the lights on. They expect a song and dance, no matter that my memory bank shrank. Feet have swollen, back nearly broken, and my body has gone from that of a fine filly to a morose mare. And yet they dare to request I saunter and showboat. But I belt and tap away to keep the glue factory transport at bay. Thank you. And this next poem that I wrote was actually published in my master's thesis. I got my Master's of Fine Arts in Creative Writing, and I wrote a memoir. That was lovely experience. You think you know yourself. No, you don't. Not until you write a memoir and then have other people's perspective on it. Like, oh, that's what you did. That's what you wrote about. Yeah, okay. So this is about my upbringing. And the title of this piece is The Prettiest House on Jutland Road. Neighbors only saw the ivy plants, manicured lawn and white ash tree. I wonder if pink siding was all the rage in 1960 when the house was built. It hadn't been updated since. My grandparents bought it. I wonder why she left him, but stayed there where he hit her. Likely because it was her home, her daughter's home, my mother's home, my childhood home, the biggest and prettiest anyone in our family ever owned. The house was one of the few with a carport, but the only one with burglar bars. I read my mother's diaries. She didn't get to go out or too far often either. I wonder if she ever tried to leave. My mother never left, big as her light was. It became dimmed by the darkness inside. I don't wonder why she was heavy, like me. Enough to eat from a kitchen, only big enough for one cook. To fill a void created by cruel tongue. I wonder if my mother ever resisted and received a heavy hand or belt. Or if the tongue lashings were tough enough to make her comply. The house looks lovely, yet my grandmother never repaired the developing foundation issue. The roof caved in and knocked my mother down to the vinyl floor. Stress on her heart blocked blood flow. 6 feet deep in dirt was her only resting place. The only stillness in the dust, lining bookshelves and desk drawers. Documents unseen in decades. Traps restricted rodent reproduction. The only growth, the mold on the air vents. The pink doghouse in the backyard matched the siding. My first dog was a chow chow. She ran away before I did. Thank you. And my very last poem Not quite as heavy, but this was another poem from my thesis titled Deep Pressure. Brave and strong stated when others come to know of me. A fortress sustained broken down bodies. Garrison guarding wounded hearts, buried deep underground. The heat roars on and pressure bears down. How I want to be soft as the sand beside waters, to no longer know extreme heat and pressure deep. My original form had yet to take shape, so I am as scattered as millions of stones and pebbles. No water's motion has yet to polish me clean. I cry for the ocean because it is empty. Waters made murky call me to the depths where there's only darkness, too stubborn to pull the sun and moon to clear sludge and make clean and green to bring forth life. I deserve to be soft without chaos, to know calm without load of stone. Thank you all so much for listening.
How you land a poem. Oh my God. Oh, thank you. To be soft without chaos. I'm going to walk around thinking about that forever. I'm going to switch up the order a little bit. I've had a request from Mel, who is in the midst of her commute and would like to read soon because her phone is going to lose its battery. So I'm going to move her up the line. I'm going to move her up in front of Beck. Mel Connelly, if you are all connected and listening right now, is an American lesbian feminist poet and art historian. She lives in France, where she severely misses her cat. Mel, if you're ready to go, we've got the mic up for you.
Hello, can you hear me well? Yes, kind of. Okay, great. I'm going to start with a poem from my master's thesis, and then I'll move on to what I published in the anthology. Get lucky, Lindy. Women in war remain, so far as I am concerned, unsolved problems. The whole complex would topple without us. In rooms just like Wolfe imagined, I straddled a prisoner before the VA could assign me a number. Forget. You praised your God, and I said, this is for my country. Then I gave you a lap dance. We laughed to the beat of In God We Trust. To my right and left, flags flank like jams. They follow perpetually. I've learned the script. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got a guy waiting for me at Abu Ghraib. We are to be married. We are carving a place for ourselves in history. As a tactic for extracting information, I ask if you've ever taken college-level algebra. I don't feel empathy. You haven't read the latest Harry Potter. I've never been locked up before. American women are the linchpin in the worldwide struggle for democracy. I have a high school diploma. Pardon my language simply. I'm quiet when I want to be. I will take an oath to love him as much as I love my country. Our nation is putting their trust in our talents, and I must write my novel. The war on terror has offered an unprecedented opportunity for women to become men. Our sexuality has discovered weapons of mass destruction, and they're smaller than one might have imagined. Is the camera still rolling? I was only following orders. I always aim to please, but I will never apologize to you, the enemy. Do you like what we've done with the place? Let me take the hood off. Let me let you breathe. The air is no different, except for the cigarette hanging from my mouth with a penchant for your humility. I'm your mother now, your legacy, faceless, but your cock's on Wikipedia for eternity. The onset of the new millennium is a will to demonstrate prowess. Pardon my cruelty. I make light of certain conventions. Every page of the internet is the front. With the rise of the manager and women in the workforce, I climbed the ranks all the way to the New York Post. From slaughterhouse to human death, slow. Easier said than done. Still, some press a button to disappear a civilization. A great British writer argued that every woman has to have a room of her own. I am proud to be one of those women. It was like the passing of the baton. And from this issue, thank you. If I have time, I'll read another after this, but I don't know. The first elegy of many. I cried out and no one heard me, dealing with their own things. Whoever should care that such a body walks with all its pieces intact amongst the forceful stares that pick it apart, label it for internet porn search bars and plastic surgeons' catalogs. I am aboard. In the public sphere that's meant to terrify with its retractable leash and lack of places to piss in safety, with really good locks and the stall without its inspirational thigh gaps and bottom opening that could bring a new meaning to upskirting. When I'm catcalled, I pretend a man compliments my gait instead of naming me Courtney Love Baby, because I look like 80s trash and admittedly think that way too, all neoliberal-like by accident, since I can't climb out of this paradigm alone. I laugh at him because I will write about it. Think back to that weekend in Inwood at the gay dude's Airbnb where I admired Tom of Finland's treatment of the bodies he loves. How I loathe those that ask him to reconsider his preferences. He was a regular old lover of Priapus. I'm down with the O'Keeffes, could get lost with them like I do with Garland Botanicals by Bruegel. And I want to deliver a fair warning, as your friend God did Eve. Fight for the ability to name your world. Plus, I heard at the festival we threw out the Y in women due to its connotations with the defunct chromosome. Here, I refer to the best chick to know how very much a woman she is. One is not born a woman, but made by a rib, forced to copulate before they invented romantic love, which I suppose is how one lubricates in a place as dry as the far-off outskirts of Mesopotamia, convincing her he's enough. I know her so well, my heart could burst and finally stand for something. Put the bush on the new statue of Medusa like I've always wanted. Stand for something like the kobiety in Poland who lost their word to American intervention. Stand for something. I think I just started my period. Another bloody day in paradise, but any day of the month I cry thinking about the little girls who are said to do sex work by UNICEF, prostitution made palatable, and literature that isn't rigorous enough to solve the problem. I hate to be so controversial, but I cannot tell a lie, Mr. President Jesus Christ. How many of your fans are praying over corrective rape tonight? Tonight, I'll rest, ruminate on why lesbian is a dirty word. Tomorrow, I change the sheets and take a long, long shower. How am I doing on time?
Yeah, you're great, but our Segriff is not, actually. I got my order kind of screwed up when I was changing it. Yeah,
right.
So sorry. This is gorgeous.
It's okay. I thought I was confused, but like I didn't know exactly.
Yeah,
so
no,
I have time for one more?
Could we maybe no?
No, it's okay. Perfectly fine.
Have to catch her before her phone.
That's fine. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I was confused.
No,
so it's over. Thank you guys.
No, gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah. I can't climb out of this paradigm alone. Beautiful. K.R. Segriff, I'm going to try to get you before we lose you. Is a Canadian writer and filmmaker Her work has been published in numerous literary magazines, and her debut short story collection, Animals in Captivity, will be published in 2024 by Riddle Fence Debuts. KR, if you're here, if we haven't.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, all right.
Awesome. Okay. Despite being Canadian, I am on the street in Detroit right now. And so I hope you can stand the background noise. But here we go. I'm going to read We All Become Our Mothers. So I'll just go for it. And if I run out of batteries in the middle, that'll be an exciting Detroit moment. Praise the bad mamas. Their love is ugly, whose graham crackers were absent from the fresh-washed tablecloths, who flung keys on frayed strings instead of hello darlings, and fucking dared to get a college degree while their babies were barely walking, who never saw the yellow bus dump those sweet girls at the end of the weed-heaved street, but who kept the electricity and heat rumbling through the water-stained walls with the spoils of their frequent retreats. Praise those hardened hussies. Their love is ugly, who applied peroxide to sizzling locks and lathered their lids with sparkle, who strutted stilettoed into the night while their daughters slept restless on old cousins' couches. Praise those prickly bitches. Their love is ugly, who extended polished nails atop their middle fingers, who strode past the aghast duchesses presiding porchside, wondering aloud if anyone ever told that woman's girls that they loved them. Sorry, a page flipped whenever here we go. Praise those foul-mouthed feministas. Their love is ugly, who never did tell their daughters that particular thing, but implied it with the clink of their earrings and the stink of Sephora disappearing past the peeling paint of the lobby door, who resisted returning until they'd had their fill of a life that refused to elude them. Praise those no apologies floozies. Their love is ugly, who failed to resent their sometimes parasitic successors, who drew blueprints through the grit of the well-worn linoleum that their daughters could follow into their own moonlit evenings, who loved themselves with no regrets, who demonstrated by action how to singularly inhabit the sacred soul-preserving space. Praise those badass progenitresses, those self-seeking queens, those salacious sensations. Praise them for raising their children bruised but unbroken, for their love is ugly but real. And I'm going to read a shorter one because I've got the phone battery warning here. This is called Products of a Competent Cervix, a poem for my children. 3 skulls tore through, taut skins screaming in the bright lights, dangling from nipples as crabs, boiled in an ocean of milk. 3 jaws, blood-tinged, calcium cackling from undescended teeth, skeletons crouching, waiting to burst through tender tissue, tight holes, swollen, meaty, and ready to rip. And if I can get one more, I will. It breaks against the battery. Okay. We all become our mothers 3. I pushed back a vision of your yellowing nails, trailing inside the velvet insides of your final gift box. Considered the smell of Bushmills single malt, how it might linger on your contracting fingertips. Had forgotten the calloused twist of your hands as we tucked them safely within the casket and clattered them across the sodden field in '99. But this flooded morning, as I wound down the side road, the glass shuddering with my whiskey highballs and speed, I looked at the steering wheel, and there they were. Okay, I'm gonna call it there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. 2 street readings in this day together. I'm so glad your phone hung in there. I'm so sorry I messed up the order. Yes, go forth. Be amazing. Go, sister. Okay. I'm going to introduce Beck Bergfjord. Is a poet and a radical feminist philosopher, currently living in upstate New York, who is going to read to us next. Back, I'm going to give you the mic.
Hello. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Thank you for having me. This has been amazing. And let's see. I'm going to. I had a plan, and now it has fled. Okay, so I'm going to start with reading my poem from the anthology, Finding Your Patronus, because it was a request from Esmée, so that we can make sure that I have time for that. So it's called Finding Your Patronus. Is it the loss of magic that most bothers these children when Joanne Rowling, as though channeling Hermione in a charitable mood, gently insists that actually material reality cannot be overcome, that the sweep of a wand cannot swipe a uterus out of existence, that we cannot transmute patriarchal destruction and render its effects no more relevant than the choice of butterbeer or cider on a chilly afternoon. The scalding rage tumbling from these first years when she says, "This is what magic cannot do." We all want to be the powerful proto-wizard and never the magicless muggle. This story, so old it is written in bone and smoke. I suppose if I had been told as a child that I could fly or breathe underwater, broomstick clenched between my knees or gillyweed betwixt my teeth, told that I could stop an unspeakable and noseless evil, and that even after plunging into the darkest abyss, I was guaranteed to eventually find my way out again. Perhaps I too would threaten to break the legs of the woman who told me no. Dumbledore warned of the dangers of peering too long into the mirror of Erised, that drowning in the reflection of our most desperate desires and not accepting reality only pins us like butterflies and traps us behind the glass. It is pitiable, really, for we all want the storyteller's power to be something magical. But if you believe that the most powerful spell you can cast is to speak nonsense in the correct cadence, you'll still find yourself laying on the dim bottom of that horrible ravine and muttering useless gibberish. I cannot know these things, and I never will, because my story has been of the girl who was told you cannot fly. You'll never be good at math. You should not climb whomping willows or play rough. I was told instead to be nice, told to be sweet and small and silent. I was soaked in the mystical elixir of repeated no's, but also forbidden from ever voicing the word myself. I was shown that the darkness that takes root inside men doesn't give a shit if I consent. I was told that my body was not magic, but after many years of prowling the depths of the restricted section, I have learned that true magic will always arrive, phoenix-like, from the ashes, that all edicts from the ministry must be questioned, and the body cannot be canceled. Let me get back to what I wrote. Okay, you can hear me again. All right. So I was thinking I would read something different. I write a lot of different things. Some of it is feminist. This is also feminist, but it was sort of an experiment and I just love it. And I've never read it before. And I think a short, fun, something wild might be interesting. Okay, so it is titled, This Might Be a Poem. What else is the widow's dowry but the precision of ravens, the marbling of fawns, the gaping fjord at the center of a murmuration of starlets? Or the monastic lunatics crowding vast marshlands dappled with alligators, all poleaxe and blowtorch, both the logician's daughter and the depressed doyenne throw back each drink while falling backwards through this exquisite bolt hole. Perhaps it's just as well the windscreen, the windpipes, and a lightly worn pair of rubber Wellingtons are but fixtures inside a star. The bowl, the lug, the fink, breathing on periphery and precipice, chrome green and sky charged, and we, The descendants of this dowry, the daughters of these bellowing poisoners and lubricated rattlers are here, our napalms downturned, dowsing for rain. Okay. So to end, I was thinking I would read something that I was working on. I've spent the last 2 years, well, it's not the most recent 2 years, but I spent the last 2 years solo traveling the world on no money. And I found myself in Yucatan, in rural Yucatan, when the war broke out in Ukraine. And I began writing this piece, and it's no longer quite as current, but also with what's happening in the Middle East, I think in some ways it is very current. So I wanted to share this with you all because it feels like something I need to give to the women. It feels like something I need to give to the women. So, can we agree to cut continents from cloth woven by women for once? To tell a new story, one where gold is but a stone and the daughters are wilder than a raging canyon surge, and we no longer listen to the words of men, but listen for the thunder underwater. Wouldn't you too wish to live in Adrian mineral cities, in collusion with green leaves and stalk, where we are all blooming, countless, lifting the bodies of our grandmothers up the faces of mesas and skyscrapers alike, the lanternfish and voles and trees and even the stones, and us, all co-conspirators in complex coexistence. When the metaphors are broken and the cave can no longer hold up its ceiling, when the ferocious stars huddle so close to our collective incendiation, pulling this into existence is to continually face yourself, your shattered heart. Do not think of how many people have met and then lost the love of their lives in cities you will never visit, lost their lives in Kiev, Mariupol, Kharkiv. Last week alone, it's too many, far too many. How the coming heat, the famines, how the forest blaze shimmers the air, a toxic planetary shroud, this bomb launched but not yet landed. Do you understand? Even the machines are screaming. Set aside for now the elaborate, monstrous cages men continue to build for our daughters, for their own daughters, for themselves, or how much plastic you've ingested this week. We can agree it's nothing to compare to what the ocean herself swallowed. Don't forget that yesterday, holding a blank sign was enough to get people arrested in Russia. If you can't cradle this knowledge in your hands for fear of your heart imploding like a star, remember that the body of a defiant woman standing on the streets is more threat to power than words or no words. Yet through all this, I continue to see every woman as shamanesque, that mysterious tradition claimed or not by her, wonder walking through the now. Thaumaturgic taliswomen of tomorrow, my heart thrums with pristine love for each her I encounter. Oh, to fill her cauldrons with blue corn and wheeling crows, marrow and mycelium with ferric daub and dew-redded bast. Oh, to adorn her scarred, scared, sacred forms with antlers, new leaves, with the volcanic blazing will of all of her ancestors. Thank you. That is all, and now I'm weeping as I do. I will pass the baton back to Esmée. Thank you so much.
Piece of blood, my friend. How incredible. What an incantation of just raw energy. I can't Anyway, I'll shut up. And introduce the next poet because I'm not the point. The next poet today is Oak Chezar. She is an activist, scholar, poet, nature working. An activist, scholar, poet, and nature worshiping barbarian dyke living at 7,000 feet in a straw bale, women-made temple. Everyone, I give you Oak Chezar.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this. I'm not going to read poems that are in the book because they're all too long. They all are at least 11 minutes. They're going to be, instead of about the oppression of women, about the oppression of the greatest woman, which is the earth, the largest body. So I have a short poem in a book I published called Heartseed. And this poem is called The Promise. To be responsible means to promise in return. To whom is this promise made, and in return for what? What is the source of your life? As children, we swallowed indigestible lies that tied us to lifetimes of denial, paradise reduced to a world where we produce and consume more of everything. But you can tell a child anything. And what we really are is a seedbed for the future, feeding on the grief of the present. To whom are you responsible? What is the source of your life? They told us we could live without air and earth, rivers, trees, animals, but we need to grow up. And we promised to return. The choice is ours. Will we learn to listen to other voices? Can we sprout this stump to a tree of revolution? Can we jump like the pump in the heart of evolution? Because inspiration never left us here alone, and creativity's just been wandering around, waiting for us to wake up and come home. We are pieces of ancient earth, bits of sacred stories soaked in intellect and dirt, flowing with time's river. Beyond the daily data fed to us by liars lies the wind, and inside its spin swings the chrysalis. In a future forest world, endlessly branching like questions I can imagine. And under the branches were seeds in the ground crouching, ready to change the world again. To whom are you responsible? What is the source of your life? This is not a metaphor, friends. Let's be butterflies, re-entering wet and tender. Let's drop it all and pick up one thing at a time. You can't do anything with your life that you can't first imagine in your mind. I'm not ready to bring down civilization, but I'm ready to imagine it. Let's just walk away or stay and smash the state. Let's liberate grace with a fuse and a match. Let's hatch out in time to fall into fields of life and give back. We work from the fringes, from the fertile growing edges. We're shapeshifters turning from this lost and lonely shore. We are humans returning, and we're older than war. Thanks. This other poem is called The Rapture. 147 members of the US Congress believe in the rapture because they're fundamentalist Christians. So I wrote this. In the beginning, there was relation. In the end, there's fear and separation. Just the toll our soul takes. It's the shaking away from the only God there ever was, the mother God, nature. Patriarchy made us hate her, declares war on earth, says we're sinners from birth. Divided and blinded, we stumble unminding past all the extinctions required by the eye in the sky. Religion, filling the till, religion, killing free will until we believe the bribes and the lies that God is a guy. And heaven is all he wants us to want. So every day he deepens the spell of hell down here. If this patriarchy ain't hell, it's the lobby or nearer. Glass houses of megachurches hurling stones, evangelicals droning at suburban clones, SUVs in parking lots lined up like tombstones, churches worshiping outer space where heaven waits to annihilate earth. We live in an anti-Renaissance, the final act of imperialism, surrounded by dicks jizzing all over the body, spread out on the rack, spasms like a long, slow heart attack, the great mother who's starting to attack us back. She birthed us and fed us throughout the green vastness of time. Ecstasy's wet nurse, she opened her purse of DNA molecules, fabulous rituals. For a million seasons, she planted a billion reasons for life to live. She was making time, working out her slow, unwinding solutions, laying down fossils way before mankind's pollution. And, oh shit, y'all don't believe in evolution. The male God says, don't believe in biology. Or in the great mother, say there's no relation to others. I say this myth of yours is the source of all the misery, brothers. You're wasting my time. And I'd rather spend it wasting your machines. I waste them in vindication of the goddess and time, wasting your Humvees, your suburban dreams, your surveillance satellites, your urban blight, wasting your war mind in defense of evolutionary time. Once upon anti-entropic cycles of biologic time, deathless star breath inhabited every cell, told us we are mollusks and chlorophyll, iron and carbon, memories of wilderness, not the machines of his holy uterus. We are earth, older than religion ever was. Before the wars, the holy books that lied tried telling us that humans are at the center and that men alone entered arm in arm with God, entered armed with God, entered paradise bearing weapons to destroy creation, prepared to open fire on green life's desire just to live. This is the end of time, you say, and you fire time, you open fire on time. You call this the end times? Maybe this is the end of your time ruling our minds. You who stride alone beside God, raping nature for the profit of the prophets of this empire that fires time, that plants nothing but landmines, its tentacles identical to every violent terrorist act. Changing the sex of God is the first fact that brackets the horror house of history. His story, we and the earth are sick to death of his story. Shake us awake from night stallions of patriarchal epics. Take us back to the bare bones of our befores. Restore to us the lush green womb. I am nature, the envy and enemy of modern man. I am the goddess, the ground of all being, her beautiful, tenacious yesing, the only song she knows, ringing from the boughs of great trees. Bow down, put your knees on the ground and let her pound you full of her good sense, some essence beyond the dumbed down, fear-filled brains, smoothed out to fit into heaven's gate, sliding into the purity and security of the final gated kingdom, where the spectator sport of male theology tells us to shut up and sit down and keep projecting Satan out there, all evildoers out there wandering around in some wilderness you haven't blasted through yet. Listen, man, I don't want your approval. I want removal from the society of good Christian men who batter Christian wives, who rape Christian children, who steal, hoard, and torture in the name of God, till the U.S. foreign policy mirrors the Bible's prophecy like the mirrored sunglasses of God's big face staring down at a race so afraid of life they want to take it out. But you're so wrong, because God is a mother. She swirls through time from the first cell floating on the first sea at the first outbreath of the world. And that breath still circles chanting, yes. God's the divine female who just says yes. And we got to give life support saying yes. And maybe these death throes are really birth pains. And maybe this chaos is labor, not apocalypse. And maybe what we need to do is push through her hips, push through. The end of patriarchy is my rapture. And I ain't going nowhere. My only home is here. Thanks.
I'll be able to recover from this day. Thank you. What a homegoing. What a fucking homegoing that was. Thank you. Thank you, Oak. We have one more poet. I can't believe it. I can't believe this is my day today with these words and these women, you all. We have one more poet, and if we want to stick around, and I hope we will, we might be able to get back to Mel if she's still here to read that last poem. That would be super cool. Okay. So our last poet today, our almost last poet today, is Jenny Lindsay. Jenny Lindsay is a poet, performer, essayist, literary events programmer, and winner of the inaugural John Byrne Award for Critical Thinking in March of 2020. Jenny, I give you the mic.
Thanks very much, Esmée. Thanks very much for having me along as well. Curses on you for putting me on last and having to follow all of those people. That was absolutely brilliant. I've got two, maybe three poems. This first one that I'm going to do, I wasn't actually going to do this poem at this event until I discovered last week that the performance of this poem that I did a few years ago has been removed from the internet by the organisers of the event I performed it at. Now, I don't need to go into a lot of detail about why certain former literary collaborators now deem me, anyway. So obviously this poem is deeply, deeply offensive. I mean, it must be to be unceremoniously taken off the internet. In fact, this poem, I wrote it in what seems like a different world a few years ago. When I was looking around at I was very involved in the sort of literary world of Edinburgh, where I used to live. I'm now on the west coast of Scotland. And I was looking around the literary world, and what was kind of passing for feminist poetry, I was starting to think, you know what, I think this is actually very exclusionary, if you don't mind me saying so, but not for the reasons that people use that word now. And I thought, do you know what? I think we need to sort this out. And I was in Tenerife and it had multiple pina coladas. And I thought, I've come up with how we're going to sort this. Totally. I had pina coladas, as I say. So this is my poem about how I thought we could sort it before my entire life imploded. Anyway, this is called The Schism Ring. There will be cake at the feminist literary gathering, and tea and biscuits, and gluten-free and vegan options, exclamatory sprinkles, and safety warnings in case of fire announcements, and formica tables, and ghastly lighting, and a recognition and a catering for everybody covered and uncovered by all topics listed. Sometimes, and I admit this, in full knowledge of all of the ways it is problematic, I wish for a banquet of frog's legs, duck eggs, and steak. Piles of mashed potato laden with full fat butter and bacon, besetting a dimly lit cavernous hall, flagons of ridiculously expensive craft ale that we stored from some dickhead bar, and I wish for a big fuck-off boxing ring, non-lethal, fully accessible, designed for pillow fights to start out our differences. We'll call it the Schism Ring. And just as now, a mat will be declared, but who cares who wins? Because afterwards we'll devour chicken wings and mozzarella buns smothered in the hottest of hot sauce. We'll get merry on buckets of Malbec and shout, "Fuck your biological essentialism." Well, fuck your gender essentialism. And then we'll hug with these different chests and breasts squishing together in at least tacit understanding, if not love. Folks, are we not bored of angry Twitter sneers and bigot calls and hatred assumptions? Tired of pouty photo selfies and fuck the patriarchy tote bags and manicured manufactured resistance? Women under 30 calling their older sisters irrelevant witches. After all that they have done for us is making me very hungry for a family feast of reconciliation, not agreement. No. A hearty banquet, though, not some politely agreeable cupcake. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. Do you think this is too masculine? As I devour meat on the bone with bare hands? Well, I'll not use cutlery or wipe my face silent when judged by other criteria from men. I'll feel no tick box exercise in demure purity. Demure purity is the wrong ingredient, unless we're after egged face, flan sunk cakes deflated in the kitchen. So bring your lemon drizzle, your rocky road, your red velvet, bring your banana bread and marshmallows, and please do call me a misogynist. This verse is dripping with their damn stuff. It's very calorific. And I am one at times. And so are you, because we're fighting a system we are part of, not individual atoms. So bring your ripened, arrogant plum pud, your nippy wee ginger biscuits, your thirsty tongue, your razor wit sliced into sixes by all things listed. Bring fistfuls of chocolate cookie crust and melting childhood strawberry ices. Bring your loathing, self and otherwise. Bring your love. Bring your love. Schism ring. It's also open to food fights. Most importantly, all are welcome. Thank you. All righty. I feel better knowing that poem is now going to be out on the internet again. Not on a sort of professional sort of theatre stage, but at least my anger has been noted. Anyway, obviously, you know, a poem about compassion and coming together makes me an evil bitch. So I should say as well, I did mean to say it is darkest night in Scotland. I'm aware that I've just done a very sweary poem to some folk who might be watching this in their living room surrounded by their children. Children do not use that language. It's very, very bad. Anyway, I'm now going to do the poem that is in the anthology. If I can find it. So this poem is called Plural. Can't find it. Where is it? Here it is. And this is the one that's in the book. And I suppose it's why, I don't know, I think I came to feminism quite late compared to a lot of other people. I was in my early 20s, but it was kind of just, it wasn't academics that got me into it. It was just instinctive. It was like, I can't help being a feminist. I don't really have a choice. And that's kind of what this poem is about. It's called Plural. I can't fail to project an I into the we. Jigsaw snap a piece of my picture into sore spot. Can't fail to jolt dumb fear at worst and vitriolic angst at best at this connection to poles ripping inside outside her for fun, acid flung in the face of her spine snapped after backlash for loving another, her, and when she fought back, her eyes gouged out, and when she fought back, her face stumped, and all of those hers killed at birth, fucked like pie. Closer to home, perhaps, college student Pornhub upload rape fetish, drunk her moaning low rape and rough sex pardons for brute murder of her, of us, of we, of her, of me, and list goes on ad infinitum. Collated, commemorated, 1 in 5, 2 per week, 80% of 1 in 3 says. It is these folds and ridges and tunnels and tubes and walls and cells and eggs and caverns and unresearched secretive whole of us reduced to mere holes and vacuums by those with hatred in the bones of them at worst, ignorance at best, that create this us. I don't pretend all the answers, but I know where not to find them. Cheers. So that's why I'm a feminist. Esmée, just time for one tiny little one, just because I wanted to leave on something nice. I feel like I've just shouted at you all for like 10 minutes. So this is actually a love poem. I am capable of that as well, contrary to popular belief. It's specifically a feminist love poem because, well, you'll see. Hopefully it speaks for itself. It's called The Sky is Singing. A branch, a leaf, a kiss understood completely. Later, her back to grass, she looked up and captured her sky through the branches, sent me the image with the words, the sky is singing. The shortness of this beam of time known, a need for swift and simple truth grounded us. I sang too. On receipt, I snapped my own sky to send back to her, a big, big blue where gulls burst the pictures as her branches did. While she lay down, I stood, beaming, our love lit with swapped skies, the same roots. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so glad to have that poem back up on the internet. No taking down of women's words. No erasing of women's brilliance under any circumstances. Yes. Oh, thank you. Thanks. Mel, do you want to try that last poem?
Yeah, I can go for it. Yeah.
Okay. Everybody want to stick around for this? And then we'll do a little closing after and send everybody off into the big old patriarchal world again.
Okay. Nice to meet you. I'm getting more interested in knowing what my face will look like when I'm older. I already have the start of wrinkles, the anger and smoke lines, no smiles. Before I wash my face, I am grateful. Say grace. Thank whoever for this content life. I survived. Now, when I'm suicidal, I pull myself up out of it, relieved that there's one thing I've conquered. Or I've gotten so forgetful, it slipped my mind I was going to. Which reminds me that Anna still has the planter for my cousin's funeral, but she blocked my number. Oh, originality, the inkling of a new school of thought emerging as I undo the bow from my ring finger. When I breathe, visually speaking, it's in petals filtered through the lungs, the doodles I draw in the corner of this notebook. It's the little moments alone that I enjoy the most. The ice cream, the kettle corn, the house to myself, some fantastic spaghetti, and a favorite beer from a town you might have heard of. I should have gone to another protest instead of getting drunk. So this one's for Stonewall. It's always June somewhere, and I'm constantly being turned down at Cubbyhole, where the zipper of my favorite bag broke. Stormy, I was told that in your old age, you forgot a lot of the details. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Melissa. Thank you. Thank you for letting me read that.
Thank you. Thank you. I love that we're ending on an introduction, you know? Fantastic. Hi, world. Here we are. Yes, everybody, I'm going to switch my view back to the gallery here as we are going to wind down this magnificent reading. Thank you all so much for these words and the trust that you have given us with them, and the spirit and the nourishment that we are sharing with each other today. I know we all need it. Yes, ma'am. Am I?
Sorry. No, I totally forgot to say that all those poems are also in my book. And given I am a freelance cancelled writer, if anybody wants to buy my books, that would be amazing.
Yes, I've said it in the chat a couple times. Buy poets' books. Buy poets' books. Yes. And in the on the video, we're going to put everybody's bios and websites, and all of those links are going to be in the show notes on YouTube. So we're going to make sure to try to throw as much as much money and people and eyeballs your way as possible. We need more eyeballs on poets' work, women's poets' work. Thank you for your kind attention, for the time you have given us, for the spirit that you're sharing with us today. We need to inspire each other. This is ongoing. This is ongoing. And sometimes the poetry is for preaching to the choir to keep the choir alive. So I'm really glad we're having this opportunity to do that. But I'm also selling you a book. So if you haven't already, please, please, please find these poems again. In the book we're selling here, The Body Cannot Be Cancelled. This cover actually was designed by both Jane Claire Jones and Beck Wonders, who was our designer on the magazine for the first 7 or 8 issues. Beck's incredible talent. You can find that book on our website thingy at theradicalnotion.org/books. It's 20% off until Monday with the code poetry20. Sorry about all the business I'm doing here. But we really, really want to get this book out into the world to as many women as possible, because these poems are in them. More poems like this are in them. They will keep you company as you go forward. Yeah, great. Thank you all so much. This is the conclusion of our reading. I will see you around the planet doing the work. Get it. See you later.